So there is a pretty big issue that I want to talk about that you probably won't have seen in your regular media. It's the last thing we're going to talk about today. So in Europe right now, there is a lot of talk about artificial intelligence. A new regulation is coming out in Europe to supplement the General Data Protection Regulation, better known as the GDPR, which came out in 2018. Although the GDPR gives protection against automated data processing, the nuances of automated data processing are so vast that the European Union believed that a regulation specifically on AI and AI processing of data was created. So this law talks about a lot of things. It essentially categorizes artificial intelligence processing into multiple risk categories. So, and by the way, that's a risk to you, the person for which the data is being processed automatically. So I'm going to talk about a couple examples of this. So imagine if you type something into Google. You want to see a picture of a hippo, right? But hippos live in lots of places. So maybe you want to see a hippo, not from the Philadelphia Zoo or from the New York City Zoo, or from whatever zoo, right? Perhaps instead you want to see a hippo in the wild. Or you saw a hippo in a documentary and you forgot what it looked like, right? When you type in hippo into your image search, whichever image search you're using, you are giving an automated, you are receiving an automated response. A human being is not cultivating 6 million clips of hippos in a fraction of a second, right? The web search is trawling the internet for pictures of hippos, so that when you say hippo, it gives you hippos. Now, sometimes it will not give you hippos, and that is because something has been tagged as hippo when it's not really a hippo, but it's learning, right? It's a machine learning algorithm that is essentially trying to make sure that when you type the word hippo into the search, that hippo comes back for you. And maybe if you're lucky, even the specific hippo that you're looking for. This is a very low risk scenario because there is nothing about you looking for a hippo that is going to change your material well-being. I mean, it might make you sad if you don't find the hippo you're looking for. It might make you frustrated, but it's not going to change your material well-being. Okay, this is what I would call this is what would be considered a low risk automated processing mechanism, right? A search of some kind. Now, if you think about a search that could be more problematic, what if from the other things you search, the algorithm knows a little bit about you and it doesn't provide you certain search results because it, for whatever reason, it doesn't provide a certain search results to someone looking up certain things for whatever reason, right? So say you're looking to buy something. I don't know, let's say a hammer. You're looking to buy a hammer. You saw a nice hammer on TV and you've decided that you want a hammer, specifically this hammer. So, but you don't remember the brand, so you just look up, you go to the shopping search on whatever outlet you want to do it on, and you click hammer. But given your past searches, the algorithm perhaps knows that you have a little bit more money or that you live in a particular area. So even if other areas might ship a hammer to you, it's only going to show you certain things. It's only going to show you certain hammers from certain areas. Now, again, this doesn't materially alter your well-being too much. Maybe you'll spend an extra $5 on this hammer instead of getting the cheaper priced hammer. But you can see how there are gradients of processing and material harm. Now, imagine on the other end of the spectrum, you're applying for a job or you are applying for a loan and you enter in your information and the algorithm decides that you are not eligible for the job or that you're not eligible for the loan. Well, that has harmed you materially. Perhaps that was the job you thought you had the best chance of getting. Perhaps that was the only job that was available to apply for. Not likely, but maybe it was. Or maybe the only one that you're qualified for at this time. A robot made that decision. No human looked at your resume. An automated decision was made. That harms you. If you're going for a loan, same basic thing, right? You needed that loan for something, right? Whether it was to make an improvement on your house, or you were desperate for money, you just needed a little bit of cash. But if a computer is making these decisions for you, then there's no appeals process, right? You can't ask the robot, why did I not get approved for this loan or this job? So because this can cause harm to people, we have to protect them, right? And this AI regulation is looking to do that, and is looking to protect people based on a number of different categories. One of the things that's important about automated decision-making and automated processing is that it is just a code, but it's also a code that's trained on things. It learns. So given our example from earlier, when they were building the search function with machine learning built into it, they likely said to it, they gave it a small set of data, maybe with 1 or 2 hippos in it, and they said, this image is a hippo. So when someone types in hippo, find something that looks like this. And it would give you a couple of, you type in hippo the first time, and it comes up with a bunch of large mammals. Maybe it doesn't come up with a hippo at all. So when it's training, you say, no, those aren't hippos. Try again. So it learned those are not hippos, and it gives you a new set of hippos or non-hippos, right? So you get to the point where eventually, once you've showed it the picture of the hippo, and you've had it run enough searches and told it yes or no, it has a rough idea of what a hippo looks like. So when you, the end user, type in hippo, I don't know why I'm on a kick with hippos, but I just thought of hippos and now we're running with it. But once you, the end user, type in hippo, once the algorithm is public, then almost every time it's going to turn up hippo, because it has learned that hippo is a word that refers to a large mammal that lives in the desert, that's brown, has cute ears, and drinks lots of water, right? That's what it's learned. At the same time, training data has to be given for things like loans and job applications. So depending on what your training data is, you can influence the way the algorithm is going to behave. So for example, and this is an example that is a correlate to a real life example, if you train if you are a company and you train your algorithm for job applications with people who only have certain types of names, specifically white names, or only come from certain areas, specifically predominantly white areas, then the algorithm may not see someone whose name it doesn't recognize as being a name, and either decide that it's not appropriate, or may decide that it's a spam one, right? Because people may be, there may be a setting on your algorithm to throw out spam applications, maybe ones that are auto-generated or what have you. So the algorithm is a reflection of our bias as humans. So every time a decision is made by an algorithm that can create material harm, there has to be some way for the individual who's affected to appeal it. Because if the robot is making these decisions without any supervision, which oftentimes it's not, it will simply reflect the bias of the people who created it. So, and this is true, many times automated systems are considered racist because they are trained on data that doesn't include names that are traditionally used by non-white individuals. So it recognizes the names of white individuals and places them first, or accepts them more, or is more likely to accept them because it recognizes more parts of it. And remember, it's not smart. It's not the algorithm itself isn't racist. It's reflecting the potential racism of the creator, or the potential biases of the creator, right? So it's important that we think about in a very concrete way what it means when we are asking computers to make these decisions for us. And as we do that, we can evolve to the point where our computers are making better decisions. In the meanwhile, while we don't have that, which we do not, there needs to be a human being behind it, right? And essentially the process for that goes as follows. So you're an individual, you apply for a loan, say. The automated decision, or you apply for a credit card. This happens a lot too. So you apply for a credit card and the automated system says, no, you may not have this credit card. You really want that credit card. So you, luckily, you live in a jurisdiction where there is an appeals process in place for you to talk to another human being about your denied application. So you get denied, you call up a human being, and the human being says, he or she or they say, oh, well, actually, your profile is the type of one that we would give a loan to or a credit card to. So they issue you the card. Okay, problem solved, right? After that happens, though, that shouldn't be the end of the train. What should happen afterwards is that the algorithm should be taught that this type of profile, the one that you've just submitted and gotten denied for, is actually an acceptable profile. And that will help the algorithm to learn and to remediate this issue so it doesn't happen to someone in your same place in the future. Whether this happens now is unclear, but hopefully, as this AI regulation evolves in Europe and as similar regulations take hold in the rest of the world, these types of things will be addressed. And by the way, the reason I say that as AI regulations take place in the rest of the world is because one of the things that we saw with the General Data Protection Regulation when it was passed in 2018 is that it spawned all sorts of privacy laws being written around the world. Specifically, Japan and Canada revised their privacy laws in order to get adequacy agreements from the European Union. You see in California the passage of the CCPA and then more recently the passage of the CPRA, two privacy laws that are meant to be commensurate with the GDPR. You see privacy laws popping up in states all throughout the country. And although we are in desperate need of a privacy law in the United States as a whole, you can see that the GDPR has been an excellent influence on privacy protections throughout the world. The hope is that the AI law will do the exact same thing, and that moving forward, that any situation where you go to plug in information to a place where an automated decision is made about you, you will have the protection of those laws, and just in case the algorithm is racist or biased in some way, there will be an appeals process so that the harm that is potentially placed upon you is remediated.